For most businesses, a website feels like just another bill, an expense on a report. But what if it could be your single most productive employee? That's what we're digging into today. We're looking at how a real company turned their forgotten website into an absolute 24/7 sales machine. And the best part? The lessons here can work for you, too.
So let me ask you this, and it's a really important question for any business owner. Is your website an expense or is it an investment? Seriously, think about it. Is it just another bill you have to pay every month, or is it an active part of your team actually bringing in revenue? Because how you answer that really determines if your online presence is costing you money or making you money.
And this right here is the core mindset shift we're talking about. Your website should not just be some passive digital brochure that just sits there. No way. It needs to be your best salesperson. I mean, think about it. This salesperson never sleeps, never takes a vacation, and is always on, ready to turn a random visitor into a paying customer.
But for so many businesses, the reality is, well, it's the total opposite. Their digital storefront is more like a leaky bucket. Potential customers show up, but the site is clunky or confusing, maybe even broken. And every single visitor who gets frustrated and just clicks away, that's a lost sale. It's not just a missed opportunity. It's literally revenue walking right out the digital door.
Okay, so let's get into a real-world example here. Let's talk about All Season Air. They're an HVAC contractor, and they were fantastic at their job. Fixing air conditioners, installing furnaces. The problem? Their website was completely failing them. It was old, a total pain to use, and it was actively costing them business. Why? Because potential customers either couldn't find them in the first place, or if they did, they couldn't figure out how to book a service.
I mean, the difference between what they had and what they needed was just stark. Their old site was basically a dead end for customers, especially on a phone. You know how it is. People would just give up. And on Google, it was practically invisible. So the goal was to build a true customer magnet, a site that didn't just rank high on Google, but also made it ridiculously simple for anyone who landed there to become a real paying customer. So the big question is, how did they pull it off? How did they bridge that massive gap? Well, it wasn't just luck or some random chance. It was a very deliberate three-part blueprint for growth. And this is a strategy that pretty much any service business can use to totally transform their online results. All right, here's the playbook. First, it starts with a complete redesign. But we're not talking about just making it look pretty with flashy graphics. No, this redesign was focused on one thing and one thing only: turning visitors into customers. Step 2, a super targeted local SEO plan to make absolutely sure they were the first business people found online. And this is critical. The work doesn't stop when the site goes live. It needs constant love, constant optimization to stay ahead of the competition. So let's dive a little deeper into that redesign, because every single piece had a purpose. The site had to be fast on mobile. Why? Because customers are impatient, right? The service pages had to be crystal clear, answering questions immediately. And then, everywhere you looked, big, prominent call to action buttons that made it just effortless to book a job. And on top of all that, you had trust signals, things like certifications and customer reviews that build the confidence needed to seal the deal. Okay, next up is local SEO. This might sound technical, but think of it like this. It's the engine that drives ready-to-buy customers straight to your website. It's the whole strategy that makes sure when someone in your town is frantically searching for, say, AC repair near me, your business is the first one they see. And you know what that means? You're the first one they call. All right, so that's the strategy, that's the blueprint. But the real question is, did it actually work? Let's take a look at the results. And get this wasn't some year-long project. We're talking about a transformation that delivered real, tangible results in just 90 days. And the results were, well, they were immediate and they were dramatic. Within just 90 days of the new site going live, their organic traffic, that's all the people finding them through Google, shot up by nearly 40%. That is a massive wave of potential new customers coming in almost overnight. But check this out. It wasn't just about getting more traffic. It was about getting the right traffic. They managed to secure one of those coveted top 3 spots in Google's local pack. You know, that little map with the top businesses you see when you search. Landing there, ma'am, that's like getting a storefront on Main Street. It puts you right in front of the most motivated local customers. And frankly, that's where the majority of the calls come from. And all of this translated directly to their bottom line. It wasn't just numbers on a screen. The team at All Season Air said it themselves. All that abstract data meant real-world results. They saw more calls, more leads,
all coming directly from Google. Their online presence had never, ever been stronger. Okay, so what does this whole story mean for your business? Let's boil this all down into the universal principles that you can apply, whether you're a plumber, an electrician, a roofer, really any local service provider.
All right, let's really boil it down. A website that actually performs, that actually makes you money. Well, it thinks like a customer. It has to work flawlessly on their phone. It's got to show up the second a local customer needs help. And it uses things like reviews to build instant trust. When you get all that right, it stops being a passive brochure and it starts acting like a leader in your industry, attracting and converting business 24/7.
And that brings us right back to the question I asked at the very beginning. Now that you've seen what's possible, I want you to take another honest look at your own website. Is it just sitting there, or is it actively out there 24/7 hustling to grow your business? In other words, is your best salesperson working for you yet?